What is going on, guys? PoliticsGaming here, and today we're doing the next episode of the United States of America. In the previous episode, essentially what we were doing was we were drastically trying to reduce our deficit, and we successfully did that to a point. We got around from about 7% in the previous episode to about 5.58% in this episode at the beginning right here. So let's go ahead and go through a couple of our things, and then we are going to go ahead and start making some preparations for the midterm elections. I think we are going to try to see how far we can get into the year 2022, and in November of 2022 we will be going through a midterm election. The goal of this election is essentially going to be to keep the House of Representatives under Democratic control, as well as take control of the Senate that the Republicans currently have control over. Republicans have control over 53 seats right now in the United States Senate, while in the House of Representatives they only have 200 seats out of the Democrats' 235 seats. Obviously, this is not taking into account the recent election that the United States just had. We do not see any of the seats reflecting exactly what they would look like in the year 2022. This is just off of the 2020 edition, so that is the reason why. And as we can see right here, the next election for the Parliament or Congress of the United States will be taking place on November 8th, 2022. Alright, and let's go ahead and see what kind of laws that we can look at and try to pass. So if we look at our tax situation that we have right here, so we have a 20% company tax, a 15% employer social security payment tax, as well as an 8% on the employees. So if we keep going down, we have a company turnover of 1.25, which generates about $167 billion per year. And then if we go, we have a $10 carbon tax, as well as a $3 cannabis consumption tax that we did pass in the previous episode. If you did not watch the previous episode, essentially we did legalize the consumption and sale of marijuana on a federal level. So we do have a tax on that as well. So what if we want to increase it by $1 to $4? That would get about $13 billion, and it looks like that would pass the House and Senate by overwhelming majorities. So what if I wanted to increase that to $5? That would very much pass both houses of Congress, so that's awesome to see. But I don't know what the effects of raising the cannabis consumption tax has. So let's go over to farming. Let's go over to farming, and then let's go over to cannabis. Let's go ahead and see what's going on with the cannabis economic sector. So at the beginning of the game, before legalization, we had a production value of 3.911% of the world's production of cannabis. Then if we go over to consumption, we consumed about 23% of the world's production. Now, if you see after we legalize it, it does seem that the marijuana consumption and production go up significantly compared to their previous levels. Production is now at 9.5% as the world production, and then our consumption on the world level is at 43.5%. We are consuming 43% of the world's cannabis now. So then we go over to trade balance. Our trade balance has gone up a little bit. We are now importing a little bit more cannabis than we actually should be. We had $10 billion worth of negative trade balance in, and we are now at a negative $11 billion. That is mostly because of the consumption, that we do not have our own production and we're not self-sufficient within the cannabis industry. It looks like that cannabis is worth less than cocaine actually is. I don't know if that is because of the legalization of marijuana. What I would actually really like to see, if even if it pertains to just a few countries, I would definitely love to see an option for us to allow the sale, production, manufacture, and just relative, we have this right here for the cannabis sector, but unfortunately we are not able to do that for sectors like cocaine or even opium. And I know it's more so because, the chances of these sectors becoming relevant or even legal is very minimal. However, this game does allow you to change certain things and allows you to grow your economy, grow different sectors. So if you're allowed to, legalize certain things, including cocaine and opium, that would help out in terms of helping your economy grow. Even if you're, you're the United States and you legalize cocaine and then you end up being like the drug kingpin of the entire world. But if you guys have any ideas on how to grow these sectors without even touching them, definitely do leave a comment down below. Do you guys know how to do that? Let's go over to my colza sector, see what's going on over here, and then let's go ahead and give you about $5 billion worth of subsidies, and that throws our production above our consumption. So that we produced about 1.7% of the world's production of colza in the previous administration, and then now we are producing 14.78% of the world's production of colza. If you don't know what colza is, I think I've gone over this in several episodes before, just because it's coming up. Colza is known as biofuel. It is also it's not really it's more of a plant based ingredient for biofuel, but it's mostly or generally used in things like biofuel. Well, why am I talking about biofuels and why am I talking about real life within this game? Well, let's go over to energy. Let's go over to fuel. And let's look at the fuel sector. The fuel sector is provided by several different kinds of economic sectors within this game. If you go over to sector infos, you will see that fuel is using oil, natural gas, the recycling and capturing of CO2, and then as well as the colza sector. However, our trade balance has gone up by about $3 billion, about $2.5 billion it looks like, and then our sales have gone from $1.25 trillion to $1.27 trillion. And then it looks like that our profits, so our productivity index has definitely benefited off of the continued investment into fuel. So I believe this is because I actually did a massive investment into the oil production across the country. I believe in a couple episodes ago, I did invest a lot into things of natural gas, into oil production. So we do have a lot more oil production than we did at the beginning of the game. But our fuel sector, it looks like, has benefited off of this continued rising production of oil. So it looks like we are providing ourselves an additional $200 billion into our national economy. And then our profits have definitely gone up in terms of that. And then as our profits have gone up, our income tax within that sector has gone up as well. Our income tax at the beginning of the game, or in the previous administration, was 8.99%, and then at the as of right now, we are trickling just below 14% as of right now. So that is awesome to see. So that I believe maybe that this number right here relates to about 13% of this number right here where profits is. I really don't know the definition, and I think I'm going to go ahead and go over that in the economic tutorial. We will definitely figure it out. We have no manpower within that sector though. We have no manpower, no employment, so that's interesting. Let's go over to energy info, and then let's go over to by GDP, and it looks like that, look at this, fuel is actually our largest. As of right now, fuel is our largest in terms of our GDP within the energy sector. So that is very, very good in terms, again, of our national economy. Our purchase price has been going up, as well as our sale price, which in terms of trade isn't the best thing in the world. But let's go over to volume by year, and then we'll go ahead and do this. We are providing about $11 billion per year. I don't know if this is accurate or not, because $11 billion, and then you're producing like $1.2 trillion in sales. I don't know how accurate that number is. But the corporate tax right now looks like we are generating $2.2 billion worth of corporate taxes off of this sector alone. Again, we have zero employment, but let's go ahead and see who the largest employer is in the energy sector, and that looks to be the natural gas sector. The natural gas sector seems to be employing about 1.2 million people across the country, which seems to be, again, our largest overall sector. Look at this, conventional gas, and it has the banana symbol on it. That is funny. That is actually, that is funny. And then conventional oil has cows. Conventional oil or non-conventional oil has cotton. Yeah, that's a little bit of a bug, but it doesn't bother me that much. All right, let's go over here, and then let's go over the next couple of weeks and see what happens. Alright guys, and let's see this message right here. The anti-diabetic implant lands on the market. The first implants of automatic insulin secretor have had a lively success with the people affected by diabetes. The waiting list is long, but requirements for the hepatic implants keep growing. For the moment, the implant is always delivered under medical orders, though so far we haven't observed any rejection reaction in customers that have benefited from the treatment. So that is great to see that a new economic sector has opened, possibly. Let's go over to the, I believe it's going to be in the A, but it's going to be the diabetic economic sector. So I think it's going to take a little bit for it to grow, possibly. Great Public Bionics. Let's see if we can nationalize this, possibly. It would cost about $16 billion, and if we wanted to fully nationalize it, it would cost about $54 billion if we wanted to get involved. However, I don't think we're going to do that as of right now, not with Great Public Bionics. It is actually somewhat a bug at the sector. If we look at it right here, we will see that the purchase price index is negative like 10 billion, like 100 million or something like that. Yeah, it is negative 102 million dollars for some reason, and then the 2020 price was $100. So, but the sale price seems to be fine, but the purchase and price index seem to be very much bugged. So definitely do think that Eversim needs to fix that somehow. Let's go over to rare earth oxides. What are we doing over here? We are producing 16% of the world's production. Let's go ahead and give them an additional $1 billion and see where that lands our production at. And then let's go over to $4.5 billion and see where that lands us, and that puts our production above our consumption. So let's go ahead and let that go for a couple of weeks or months, or even at least maybe a year, and then we can see where the sector will be at the end of that term. So then let's go over to automobiles, see what we're doing with automobiles for right now. So our actions within the automobile market seem to be paying off. At the beginning of the game, we had 6.4% of the world's production of automobiles on the market. Right now, we are now above 7% of the world's production of automobiles on the market. And then going down, it looks like that our consumption still continues to go up. We did 23.52% of the world's consumption at the beginning of the game or in the previous administration. And then right now we are doing 23.56%. So our consumption has gone up a tad bit, just a tiny bit. But then we go over to trade balance. We are importing about $2 billion more worth of vehicles right now off of the international market, but our overall sales within the sector have gone up. We were doing $196.3 billion at the beginning of the game, and then as of right now, we are pulling about $212 billion through sales as of right now. Then we go over to profits. We are doing about $7 billion better in terms of profits, and that has increased our productivity index. We were at 0.108 at the beginning of the game. We are now at 0.230 as of right now. However, we are not getting any income tax off of it as of right now. We have exonerated the sector, and we have the ability to raise the exoneration of the sector off of the automobile sector, but we will not do that as of right now. Let's go ahead and see what they need in terms of production. We need electricity, steel, and electrical materials to have a fine manufacturing process in terms of the automobile construction sector. So we need to make sure that all of these are sufficient enough for us to produce enough of these cars in order to become self-sufficient. So then let's do one more time: electricity, steel, and electrical materials. Let's go over to electrical materials first, and we are doing, wow, look at that, we are doing about $54 billion at the beginning of the game, and then as of right now we are doing $93 billion. But look at this, our profits have only gone up about $400 million from the beginning of the game, which this is a substantial increase from the beginning of the game. I mean, this basically has doubled within our own administration, so this is really good in terms of that. But that is not, I mean, compared to what it is, I mean, look at this productivity index right here. That's about 2% of what it's supposed to be doing, what we're expecting it to be doing. So that is still a very, very small, minimal, and it's actually been going down. It has been trickling down from 0.033% from the beginning of the game to about 0.025% as of right now. We are not taxing the sector. We have no income tax off of it. So we definitely need to continue to exonerate the sector and see if they can improve over the next maybe 2 years. Maybe I think we'll give them until the next election season, and then we can make a decision based off of that. Then let's go over to the steel sector, and then we are not taxing the sector as of right now. We are doing 5% of the world's production, which is going up, and then we are actually consuming less of the world's consumption of this product. So then we go over to the trade balance. It has gone up by about $2 billion, or $3 billion, or $2 billion actually. Can't do math. And then sales, $207 billion, and then $222 billion as of right now. Our profits have been going up, so our productivity index has been following the profits that have been going up in correlation to what these sales are. So I mean, $207 billion and then $222 billion, which $72 billion out of $222 billion is a pretty substantial amount of that. So that is great to see that that sector is doing better. And just before we go ahead and continue on with this game, let's go ahead and look at our industrial or secondary GDP. Our secondary GDP is trickling upwards. This is awesome to see this economic recovery. Look at this, a beautiful, beautiful W-shaped recovery right here. You see that the recession happened immediately at the beginning of the game. You see where we were at the beginning of the game, this little red line right here. You'll see that our economy depressed itself to a point. I mean, nearly $5.4 trillion was our tertiary or our secondary sector GDP, and then now it has recovered to a beautiful $600 billion as of right now. So that is again a beautiful, beautiful W-shaped recovery in terms of the economic sector of the secondary. Let's go over to the trade balance, and our trade balance is going up. You see more and more W's right here, so this is not the best case in the world, but it's also not the worst thing in the world. But look at that, China's GDP or trade balance is a positive $4.3 trillion. They're exporting a lot of product, and we are importing more than any other country in the world, which again really, really sucks. And then we go to active population in this sector. You see a great V-shaped recovery right here. This was the recession, and the working population seemed to have survived until we really got into the middle of that recession. During the summer period, it looks like the economy depressed itself to a point to where people were losing their jobs. Over 1% of the active population within the secondary sector seem to have lost their jobs, but we have around to the point right here. It looks like we have recovered fully and are employing more people than we have ever been able to employ them within the secondary sector. If you actually look right here, you see that the other countries that we have, Japan has more people in the secondary sector in their own economy. The United Kingdom has 16%, and then Kosovo seems to have the most out of any other country, with 45.2% of the population, or the working population, active population, within the secondary sector. All right, we have a couple of messages to go through right here. There is an unfortunate series of events that just happened. We do have a lot of messages from the director of the intelligence agency, Adam Buchanan, Buchanan, yeah, I'll call him Buchanan from now on. Possible dismantlement of the terrorist organization in Nigeria and Mexico, but we will ignore those as of right now. We don't want to worry about them. And then we have the Kristen Baden, President of the United States, mother's funeral. It looks like the mother of the President of the United States, Joe Biden, has unfortunately passed away. Now, this is only in the game. However, I do not know. I do not know whether President Joe Biden or President-elect Joe Biden actually, if his mother is still alive. Anyway, let's go ahead and attend this funeral right here, and then we'll go over a couple of days to attend the funeral, and we will see what happens. Opening of the Winter Paralympics in the Chinese and the People's Republic of China. Unfortunately, I don't think we acknowledged anything right there. Maybe we're boycotting it or something like that. I have a feeling that whenever it does come around to the 2022 Olympics, I think the world may end up boycotting the Olympics, because it is being hosted by China. So it's going to be a really interesting scenario if Joe Biden does lead a international boycott against the People's Republic of China. There's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to go over here and do in terms of space research. Let's go over to space research, and let's look at the solar system as a whole right now. There's a couple of different missions that I really want to start up and start funding, and it's a matter of getting these things off the ground. So Dragonfly, what is the Dragonfly? Space probe with landing, and that is going to be on the planet of Titan. So that's actually really interesting. I think this is a brand new space probe that they actually added into the game. So I believe this should be a real thing, because I mean, Eversim does all the missions that you see right here are all real missions that the world is sending out into the solar system. So in terms of, let's go ahead and start one mission off, and then it's going to be on the planet of Venus. Let's go over to Venus, and then let's go and call this manned orbital flights, space probe with landing, and exploration robot. Let's go ahead and do an exploration robot, and then let's give them an addition funding level of about $4.5 billion, $4,525,000,000 exactly. So then let's go ahead and call this the Vogel. We're going to call it the Vogel. This is going to be called the Vogel 1, and that will be our mission to the planet of Venus. So that will take about 18 months after the recognition. So let's go ahead and do 100% of the funding of that mission. Call it the Vogel 1, and we will send that on its way. I believe we can do this. Yep, we can do this. So let's go ahead and approve the program. And then let's go over to Mars, and let's see what's going on with the Mars mission. We have the Journey to Mars, which is 33% risk of failure. This is mainly because we do not have an additional exploration robot that is on the moon. We also do not have protection against cosmic rays and solar particles. We do not have that researched as of right now. Once we research this and then research or at least put another preliminary mission or the exploration robot mission onto the Martian surface, then we will probably have a very, very high chance of success within this mission. So our focus for this is to give an additional, let's go ahead and give about $7.5 billion in terms of funding to this mission. We're going to give them an additional amount of money, and then let's go to here, and it looks like we do not have another space probe, or not space probe mission, rover mission that is going to land on the Martian surface. However, wait, exploration robot and the return of samples to Earth. So it looks like, yeah, I think whenever this is complete, I think we should be able to have that done. So I think we're good on this. We also just need to get the cosmic solar rays research completed, and I think that'll help us in the end. And then let's go back, and then let's go over to Europa. Europa is going to be the mission that we are going to discover life with. So let's do space probe with the return of samples to Earth, or space probe with an exploration robot and the return of samples to Earth. 133 months for that one, but what if I do with the return of samples 122 months? That is about a 10-month difference. Space probe with the return of samples to Earth. Let's go ahead and call this the Europa lander. So the Europa lander is essentially, let's go ahead and do this with the exploration robot and then return of samples to Earth. This is going to be a fully funded mission. 100% of the task is going to be on my own country to do it, and essentially the Europa lander mission is going to be it's a proposed large strategic science mission. A large strategic science mission is essentially things like the International Space Station, the Hubble Space Telescope, missions that are always going to be maintained and are extending off of missions from other missions. So it's going to be like the flagship of any mission that goes toward the Europa moon. So we're going to call this the Europa lander, and this is going to be a space probe with the exploration robot and then a return of samples to Earth. We are most likely going to find life on the surface of Europa. So as soon as this completes in 134 months after launch, then once it returns back, we will most likely discover life. So we are not alone in this universe. Hopefully we're not alone in this universe, and this mission will prove that we are not alone in this universe. So let's go ahead and create this great mission that will supposedly and hopefully discover that there is a life on other planets. Let's go ahead and approve the program. The validation of the program will release the funds and thus begin annuities that will be recorded in the research budget. The consortium of validated partner countries will be fixed, and no country will be able to join this mission from now on. Let's go ahead and confirm that we will be on this mission on our own, and we will not have to worry about getting other funding approvals if we ever need to give it more money. I think the goal of this mission is to provide it with at least maybe $15 billion, and then once we can provide enough money toward this mission, then again it will be our flagship mission toward the planet or the moon of Europa, which is just next to Jupiter. Alright guys, if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more episodes like this, go ahead and just hit that bell notification icon so you do not miss a single episode of the United States. If you guys want to see more, just definitely leave a comment, just leave a like, and everything that you always hear from every other YouTuber that you ever watch. But anyway, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.